my distant friend. Thank you for choosing to pause and join me here, in the quiet space of knowledge before sleep. As the hurried sounds of a long day begin to fade, as darkness gently drapes itself over every street corner and rooftop, this is the time we can return to ourselves. I invite you to find a truly comfortable position. Let your shoulders relax, release the thoughts that weigh you down, and take a deep breath in, and slowly let it go. Tonight, we won't speak of daily worries. We will instead embark on an incredible journey together, crossing the boundary of our atmosphere, traveling far beyond the flickering lights of the cities to touch the absolute stillness of the vast cosmos. Have you ever stood beneath a sky full of stars, somewhere remote and secluded, and felt at once as small as a grain of sand, yet as magnificent as a part of the galaxy itself? Our universe is a deep, black velvet tapestry, embroidered with trillions upon trillions of shimmering lights. Each of those lights could be a brilliant sun, orbited by rocky planets like Earth, or gas giants like Jupiter and Saturn. For thousands of years, humans have looked up and wondered, are we alone? If this universe is so very old, if it is so vast as to be without end, and if the elements that create life, like carbon, oxygen, and hydrogen, are everywhere, then why, after all this time, have we not received a single greeting from any extraterrestrial friends? Why is the universe so silent? That silence is not meaningless. It holds the deepest mysteries of existence, of evolution, and of the challenges that any civilization must face. In the 15 chapters to come, I will join you in seeking the answer to this great question. Together, we will explore fascinating scientific hypotheses, from the dry but hopeful numbers of mathematics to the dramatic theories of the dark forest, or the dream of transcendent civilizations hiding somewhere among the stars. Each chapter will be a gentle lullaby for your mind, guiding you from a state of soft curiosity to one of complete relaxation. You don't need to try to remember or analyze anything. Just let my voice be like a gentle stream, carrying these astronomical insights as it flows through your mind, soothing away your tensions and guiding you deep into a peaceful, restful sleep. Now, close your eyes. The Earth is still turning gently beneath you, and out there, the stars are beginning to tell their story. Let our journey begin. In the stillness of the night, as all things settle into rest, let us turn our minds toward the sky. It is an endless expanse, where even the smallest speck of light holds a story billions of years long. To understand why the silence of the universe has become such a great mystery, we must first comprehend the magnificent scale of space. We humans, in the flow of time and space, are like a tiny speck of dust in a shoreless ocean. Let's begin with our shared home, the Milky Way. Imagine the Milky Way as a colossal silver spiral, home to somewhere between 100 billion and 400 billion shining stars. Each of those stars is, essentially, a vast nuclear furnace, where hydrogen atoms endlessly fuse together to form helium, releasing an infinite supply of light and heat. Our Sun is just one of those hundreds of billions of stars, a humble member residing on the edge of a spiral arm in the galaxy. For decades, scientists wondered if other stars had planets orbiting them, just as our Sun does. And the answer, delivered by modern telescopes like Kepler and James Webb, has been astonishing. Almost every star we can observe has at least one planetary companion. This means that the number of planets in the Milky Way is even greater than the number of stars. If we do a simple calculation, there are trillions of worlds out there, each with its own unique beauty and characteristics. There are giant planets filled with methane and ammonia, where storms can rage for hundreds of years. There are planets covered in thick sheets of ice, where water exists only as a solid as hard as steel. But most importantly, astronomers estimate that there are about 10 billion planets in our galaxy with sizes and conditions similar to Earth. They are rocky planets, located in the habitable zone where the temperature is just right for liquid water to flow on the surface and for an atmosphere to hold onto oxygen and nitrogen, the essential ingredients for life as we know it. Let's step away from the Milky Way for a moment to see the bigger picture. The observable universe contains about 2 trillion galaxies. Each of those galaxies, in turn, contains hundreds of billions of stars. If you multiply these numbers together, the quantity of potentially life-bearing planets in the entire universe is a number you couldn't say in a single breath. A colossal number with 18 or even 24 zeros after it. On a stage this grand, the idea that only one tiny planet called Earth harbors life seems both incredibly lonely and hard to believe. In the year 1961, at a small conference in Green Bank, the astronomer Frank Drake proposed an equation to give this hope a more concrete form. He didn't intend to find an exact, absolute number, but rather to create a framework for us to discuss the probability of other civilizations' existence. This formula begins by considering the rate at which new stars form each year. Then, it multiplies that by the fraction of stars that have planets, and then again by the number of planets that could have an environment suitable for life. The story becomes more interesting as we delve into the next steps of the formula. What is the probability that life will actually arise on a suitable planet? And if life does appear, what fraction of it will evolve into intelligent beings, capable of making tools and understanding their place in the universe? And finally, the probability that they will develop radio technology to send their greetings into the depths of space. Even if we make an extremely conservative assumption that only 1 in a million Earth-like planets develops intelligent life, there should still be at least 10,000 civilizations currently existing in the Milky Way alone. 10,000 civilizations. That's 10,000 worlds with their own unique histories, cultures, and technologies. Some might just be discovering fire, but others could have existed for millions of years before us, with scientific achievements far beyond our wildest imagination. To help visualize the distance, remember that light travels at a speed of nearly 300,000 kilometers every second. In 1 year, light covers a distance of about 9.5 trillion kilometers. The closest star to our Sun is Proxima Centauri, located about 4.2 light-years away from us, which is more than 40 trillion kilometers, a distance so great that with our fastest current spacecraft, it would take tens of thousands of years to arrive. And yet, on the scale of the galaxy, this distance is considered to be a next-door neighbor. The vastness of space is matched by the immensity of time. Our universe is 13.8 billion years old. The Earth only formed about 4.5 billion years ago, and modern humans have been present for a period as brief as the blink of a cosmic eye. This leads to a hopeful hypothesis. If another civilization had emerged just 1 million years earlier than us, a tiny fraction of the universe's age, their technology would have surely allowed them to broadcast their presence across this entire galaxy long ago. In our minds, the universe should be an incredibly bustling place. There should be intersecting radio signals, colossal structures built around stars to harness their energy, or at the very least, the chemical traces of industrialization in the atmospheres of distant planets. We expect to hear the sounds of life, the evidence that we are not alone in this immense darkness. And yet, when we point our giant radio telescopes to the sky, all we get back is silence, an absolute and at times chilling silence. The stars still twinkle, but they say nothing. The planets still orbit quietly, leaving no message behind. This strange contrast between a universe brimming with potential and a reality that appears empty is the very core of humanity's great cosmic question. We stand here, on the surface of a beautiful blue planet, wrapped in a fragile atmosphere of nitrogen and oxygen, looking out and asking, where is everybody? Are we the first ones to arrive at the cosmic party? Or are we the last ones left? Or perhaps there is a much deeper reason why everyone has chosen to remain silent. Whenever you see a shooting star streak across the sky, remember that it might be a tiny speck of dust containing iron and silicon, burning up as it enters our atmosphere. Those elements, just like the elements in your own body, all came from the same place, the cores of ancient stars. We and the stars are, in truth, one and the same. And it is this very connection that makes the question of our cosmic neighbors more compelling than ever before. The Milky Way continues its silent turn, carrying with it billions of dreams and unanswered questions. We have only just begun our search in the last few decades, a mere blink of an eye in cosmic time. The silence of the stars might be a challenge, but it could also be an invitation for us to be more patient, to learn, to listen more deeply, and to prepare for the moment that silence is finally broken. On a summer afternoon in 1950, in the dining hall of the Los Alamos National Laboratory, 4 of the greatest scientists of the time were having lunch, discussing recent reports of unidentified flying objects. Amid the chatter and light-hearted theories about aliens stealing public trash cans, Enrico Fermi, a Nobel Prize-winning physics genius, suddenly fell silent. After a moment of deep thought, he uttered a simple and haunting question. But where is everybody? That simple question was not a joke, but the beginning of one of the most puzzling problems in modern astronomy, known as the Fermi Paradox. To understand why this question carries so much weight, we must look at the stark contradiction between what mathematics tells us and what our reality shows us. Our Milky Way galaxy has existed for about 13 billion years. The Earth only appeared a little over 4 billion years ago. This means that billions of years had passed before our planet was even formed, enough time for millions of other civilizations to be born, to develop, and to spread across the galaxy. If a civilization possessed technology capable of traveling at just 1% the speed of light, a figure that is entirely physically possible, it would only take them between 5 million and 50 million years to traverse the bisected entire Milky Way. 50 million years may sound like a long time in a human life, but on the timescale of the universe, it's merely a short afternoon. If civilizations have existed for millions of years before us, then by all logic, they should be everywhere. They should have harnessed the energy of stars, built enormous refueling stations of iron and silicon, or left traces of artificial carbon dioxide and methane in atmospheres that our telescopes could easily detect. And yet, the reality is a resounding nothing. There are no giant motherships, no repeating radio signals, and no physical evidence of any kind found on the surfaces of planets in our solar system. This contradiction creates a strange feeling, as if you've walked into a huge party that's all set up with plenty of food, dazzling lights, and music. But when you look around, there isn't a single person in sight. The Fermi Paradox leaves us with 2 staggering possibilities. The first is that we are truly alone, that intelligent life is a miracle so rare it has only happened once, on this blue planet. The second possibility is that intelligent life is common, but for some mysterious reason, we are unable to see or contact them. Enrico Fermi based this conclusion on his deep understanding of nuclear physics and dynamics. He understood that energy always drives expansion. A civilization that has mastered the power of hydrogen and helium would never be content to stay on a single planet. They would seek to spread out to ensure their survival. Therefore, their absence is not just an astronomical problem, it's a hole in the logic of how intelligence itself should evolve. This paradox becomes even harder to explain when we consider the stability of the universe. Sun-like stars are common, and rocky planets within the zone where liquid water can exist are not rare at all. Science has discovered planets that are billions of years older than Earth. If life on those planets followed an evolutionary path similar to our own, They should have surpassed us technologically long before humans even learned to write. Just imagine a civilization only 1,000 years more advanced than us. To them, we might seem like prehistoric creatures, but if they were 1,000,000 years ahead of us, the gap would be so vast that we wouldn't even be able to recognize their technology as technology. Perhaps they don't use radio waves, which are slow and prone to interference. Perhaps they use methods of communication involving subatomic particles or subtle changes in the fabric of space that we currently have no way of measuring. And yet, even with different methods of communication, their physical presence is a difficult puzzle to solve. A great civilization would require vast resources. They would have to alter the structure of star systems, create artificial celestial glows, or leave behind thermal residues that we could detect with infrared telescopes. But when telescopes like the James Webb peer into distant galaxies, they still see only the natural processes of matter and energy. The universe seems to follow the pure laws of physics, with no trace of intervention from any other intelligence. The Fermi Paradox is like a mirror, reflecting humanity's own future. As we begin to launch our Voyager probes out of the solar system, we are taking our first steps into that vast ocean. We are sending out messages on golden records, capturing the sounds of ocean waves, birdsong, and human music, hoping that someday someone will find them. But if, after millions of years, these messengers are still drifting in the void without encountering anyone, Fermi's question will become colder and more frightening than ever. The question, "Where is everybody?" is not just a scientific problem. It touches the very core of our being. If we are the only ones, the responsibility to protect life on this earth becomes heavier than ever. If we are not alone, then why is everyone silent? Is the universe a dangerous place where those who speak up are destroyed? Or are we simply too young to be invited into the galactic community? Every time you look up at the stars, from Mercury and Venus all the way to Neptune, remember Fermi's lunch back in 1950. A simple question opened up an entire era of inquiry, forcing humanity to reconsider its place in the cosmos. The silence of the universe is not an empty void. It is a veil of mystery, waiting for the most patient minds to uncover. We are standing at the threshold of knowledge, and every scientific advance brings us closer to unraveling this haunting paradox. The contradiction between the immense scale of the universe and the solitude of humankind will be a common thread in our upcoming stories. Together, we will delve deeper into each hypothesis, from the stringent biological filters to the dark scenarios of self-destruction. But no matter what the answer may be, the very existence of Earth in such a silent universe is, in itself, an undeniable miracle. In our journey to find an answer to the universe's silence, we must pause to contemplate our own home. Earth appears in the black expanse as an ethereal blue marble, floating and fragile. For a planet to be able to nurture life, and even more so, intelligent life, it seems that nature had to perform a series of incredibly intricate and precise arrangements. Perhaps the reason we haven't heard any echoes from other civilizations is because the perfect combination of factors on Earth is exceedingly rare, a grand coincidence that billions of other planets did not receive. Let's consider our location. Earth is fortunate to be in a region that scientists call the habitable zone around the sundial. This is a distance just right enough that the surface temperature isn't so hot that all water evaporates, nor so cold that everything is permanently frozen. Liquid water, a magical solvent for the chemical reactions of life, can only exist sustainably in this narrow band. If we were just a little closer to the sun, like Venus, or a little farther away, like Mars, Earth could have become a scorching furnace or a silent, frozen desert. But a good location isn't enough. To protect the fragile seeds of life, Earth also needed giant bodyguards in the solar system. Think of Jupiter, the largest of Earth's siblings. With its enormous mass, Jupiter possesses an incredibly strong gravitational pull, acting as a kind of cosmic vacuum cleaner. It attracts and deflects most of the asteroids and comets that attempt to venture into the inner solar system. Without this sturdy shield, Earth might have suffered devastating impacts thousands of times more frequently, never giving life enough time to evolve to a complex level. Right next to us, the Moon plays an equally vital role. It is not just a source of inspiration for poetry or a good night's sleep. The Moon is also the keeper of Earth's rhythm. Its gravitational pull helps to stabilize the tilt of Earth's axis, keeping our planet's climate from changing extremely and suddenly over millions of years. It is thanks to this stability that species have had the conditions to adapt and develop sustainably. The Moon also creates the tides, which help circulate nutrients in the oceans, where the very first cells began their lives. Deep inside, Earth possesses a heart of molten iron and nickel that is constantly spinning. This very movement creates a powerful magnetic field that wraps around the planet like an invisible shield. This field protects us from the fierce solar winds and energetic cosmic rays that could strip away our atmosphere and destroy the very building blocks of life. Thanks to this shield, an atmosphere rich in oxygen and nitrogen is able to exist, allowing us to breathe and blocking harmful radiation from deep space. We also cannot forget the presence of the necessary chemical elements. Earth not only has water, but also a perfect balance of elements like carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, oxygen, sulfur, and phosphorus. These substances, through delicate and cyclical processes in nature, have combined to form the miraculous chemical bonds of life. The presence of just the right amount of carbon dioxide has created a natural greenhouse effect, keeping the planet warm but not overheated, creating an ideal environment for life to sprout and flourish. Another factor, often overlooked but incredibly important, is the activity of plate tectonics. The Earth's crust is not a solid block, but is divided into many large, constantly moving plates. This process helps to recycle chemicals and regulate the amount of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere over millions of years, preventing the planet from falling into runaway global warming or an extreme ice age. Earth is like a giant living organism, with an astonishing ability to self-regulate and maintain its internal balance. When we look at all of these conditions from our location in the galaxy, the type of our parent star, our orbital distance, the protection of the large planets, the presence of the Moon, the magnetic field, the atmosphere, all the way to our geological processes, we realize that Earth is a combination of thousands of fortunate events, all stacked one on top of the other. Scientists call this the rare Earth hypothesis. If any one of the above factors were changed even slightly, intelligent life might never have emerged to ask questions about the universe. The silence we are facing may be a reminder that to create a haven like this, the universe requires incredibly strict conditions. Perhaps there are countless planets out there, but the vast majority are just barren rocks or chaotic balls of gas. Places with the perfect combination like Earth may be thousands of light years apart, so far that even if signals were sent, they would take millions of years to arrive, or they would simply dissolve into the background noise of space. In the stillness of the night, as you feel your breath mingling with the cool air, remember that every molecule of oxygen you are breathing in is the result of a deliberate 13 billion year-long process of cosmic preparation. The Earth is not just a planet, it is a peaceful oasis, a living library that holds the memories of the stars. Although we still long to find an echo from other worlds, understanding the preciousness of Earth helps us feel less alone. Even if we are the only ones in this region of the Milky Way, it only makes our existence all the more meaningful. We are the observers, the storytellers, and the ones entrusted with the mission of discovering the mysteries of the vast cosmos. Let the image of that blue jewel guide your mind into a state of ease. The Earth is still sheltering us with its soft blanket of atmosphere, and out there, the stars are still silently shining like distant lighthouses. The silence of the universe is not a rejection, but an open space for us to write our own story. Tomorrow, we will continue our journey to see if there is some barrier, some great filter that has prevented other civilizations from advancing as far as we have. But for tonight, simply hold a little gratitude for this small planet, which has given us a home in the midst of the vast emptiness. After contemplating the grandeur of these numbers and the rare beauty of the Earth, we are faced with an even more haunting question. If the universe is so vast and so ancient, why is the Milky Way so quiet? To answer this, scientists have proposed a thought-provoking concept called the Great Filter. Imagine the universe as a colossal hurdle race that every civilization must enter. In order to reach outer space and communicate with other worlds, a life form must pass through many critical turning points. However, there is some barrier, a giant sieve, that prevents most contenders from reaching the finish line. That is why the night sky maintains a chilling silence. Take a deep breath and let your mind slow down. This filter concept suggests that from the moment simple chemical elements like hydrogen, nitrogen, and carbon combine to create life, up to the point where a civilization can build spaceships and telescopes like the James Webb, there is some step that is incredibly difficult. So difficult, it seems, that almost no one can get past it. The critical question for us as a species is, where is that filter? Have we been lucky enough to have already passed it, or is it still lying ahead, waiting to halt humanity's journey? The first possibility offers us great hope. The Great Filter is in our past. This would mean that the emergence of life, or the development of intelligence, was an event so rare it is nearly impossible to repeat. The very first and most difficult step may have been the beginning of life itself. For billions of years, Earth was just a hot ball of rock filled with carbon dioxide and water. It took an immense stretch of time for inorganic molecules to randomly arrange themselves into the first self-replicating strands of genetic code. This could be the first barrier, a leap from non-living matter to a living organism that billions of other planets never achieved. If life did begin, it then faced another wall, the transition from simple cells to complex ones. You see, on Earth, bacteria dominated this planet for nearly 2 billion years without changing much. They were excellent at surviving, but they never grew more complex on their own. It took a rare accident, where a smaller cell slipped inside a larger one, and, instead of being digested, stayed on to provide energy, setting the stage for the emergence of multicellular organisms. If this chance event happened only once in the entire galaxy, then that was the filter that has kept the universe silent, because most other planets are likely just covered in monotonous layers of bacteria. Following that is the barrier of intelligence and technology. Developing a brain large enough to ponder the stars and hands dexterous enough to create tools is not an inevitable destination of evolution. Dinosaurs dominated the Earth for over 165 million years, but they never built a single telescope. If a giant asteroid hadn't crashed down and wiped them out, humanity might never have had the chance to rise. As such, we might be the ultimate winners of a cosmic lottery, where the odds of winning were just 1 in trillions upon trillions. However, there is a second possibility that should send a shiver down our spines. The Great Filter still lies ahead. If there were many civilizations out there that reached humanity's level, but they all disappeared before they could contact us, it would mean there is some kind of trap awaiting every developing civilization. When a species becomes intelligent enough to master atomic energy, it simultaneously possesses the weapons to destroy itself. When it develops industry to change the world, it might also inadvertently alter the climate beyond repair. Think of the risks we face. A large-scale nuclear war could wipe out civilization in a matter of hours. An engineered virus or a runaway artificial intelligence could spell the end of human existence. If this is a universal rule that every civilization self-destructs upon reaching a certain technological threshold, then the silence of the stars is the echo of cosmic mass graves. It is a somber thought, but it reminds us of our responsibility to protect this blue planet. We also need to consider the natural disasters that a civilization not yet advanced enough cannot withstand. Gamma-ray bursts from distant stars, violent solar flares, or the impact of giant asteroids from space. A filter could simply be the harshness of the universe itself, a place where life is but a tiny spark in a storm of matter and energy. To overcome these barriers, a civilization needs both intelligence and extraordinary luck. The stillness you feel now, in the steady rhythm of your breath late at night, is proof that humanity is still standing. So far, we seem to have slipped through the narrowest doors of destiny. We have come from single-celled organisms in the ocean's depths, survived mass extinctions, to be here today, contemplating the very nature of the universe. Whether the filter lies behind us or in front of us, every moment that we continue to exist is a priceless gift. Looking up at the distant stars, we see no trace of anyone else. Perhaps it's because they couldn't overcome the wall of evolution, or they stumbled just as they reached the threshold of eternity. But it's also possible that this silence is a quiet encouragement for us to be the first to pass through the filter, to become the ones who illuminate the dark night of the galaxy. The Milky Way continues its silent spin around its center, carrying with it billions of stars and perhaps billions of extinguished hopes. The story of the great filters helps us to look back at ourselves with more humility. We are not just intelligent beings, we are survivors, and our journey has only just begun. In the chapters to come, we will explore each of these barriers more closely to see just how miraculous and fragile life truly is. But for now, just let your mind rest. Feel the safety within the embrace of Earth's atmosphere, a place where even the harshest filters of the universe have not yet been able to stop the heartbeat of life. In the silent darkness of space, we often dream of glorious civilizations with starships gliding among the stars. But when we look back at the history of our own planet, we realize that for a being to be able to sit and contemplate the universe, nature had to undergo a journey filled with unbelievable coincidences. Perhaps one of the reasons we haven't found anyone else is that while life may be common, intelligent life is an extremely rare result of a long evolutionary process. Let's travel back in time about 3.5 billion years ago, when Earth was still a strange and wild world. In the warm oceans, the first seeds of life appeared. They were incredibly simple, single-celled organisms. You can imagine them as tiny bags filled with chemicals, quietly drifting with the currents. What's surprising is that these simple organisms dominated the Earth for a staggeringly long time, nearly 2 billion years. For those 2 billion years, life made no significant leap forward in complexity. If an alien had visited Earth at that time, they would have seen only a planet teeming with bacteria, and nothing to suggest a future civilization. To break that stagnation, an incredibly rare event occurred, one that scientists call a miraculous symbiosis. One simple cell accidentally swallowed another, but instead of digesting it, the two chose to live together. The swallowed cell became a tiny power plant inside the larger cell's body, providing an enormous source of energy for life to begin developing more complex structures. This was the turning point that allowed multicellular life, from plants and flowers to the large creatures that came later, to emerge. If this accidental swallowing event had not happened, Earth might have forever remained a world of invisible microorganisms. But even once life became complex, it didn't mean that intelligence would automatically appear. We often have a habit of thinking that intelligence is the ultimate goal of evolution. But nature doesn't think so. Nature's only goal is survival. There are many species that have existed for hundreds of millions of years without needing a large brain. Think about sharks or crocodiles. They are perfect hunting machines, extremely successful at preserving their lineage through countless eras without needing to know mathematics or build watchtowers. To nature, a large brain can sometimes be a burden because it consumes so much energy from the oxygen and nutrients we take in every day. For intelligence to truly sprout, it requires very specific environmental conditions and also some shoves from destiny. One of the most important shoves was the series of mass extinctions. About 66 million years ago, a giant asteroid from space crashed into Earth, wiping out the dinosaurs, the rulers of the planet, for more than 160 million years. Without that tragic event, the ancient ancestors of humanity, who were just small mammals hiding in the darkness, would never have had the chance to step into the light and develop. Human intelligence, in a way, is a gift molded from the ashes of catastrophe. When our ancestors began to stand upright on two legs and freed their hands, another series of miraculous changes began. Dexterous hands allowed us to make tools, and using fire to cook food helped us absorb more energy, providing enough nutrients for an ever-growing brain. The emergence of language was also an unbelievable leap forward. It allowed humans to share knowledge, accumulating experience over generations instead of having to start from scratch. These factors intertwined, creating a network of coincidences where, if just one link were missing, we might still be just a species of primate wandering through the ancient forests. Now, look out into that vast expanse of space. How many planets are there with life, but are stuck in the bacterial stage for billions of years? How many planets are there where complex life has emerged, but never encountered the lucky events needed to foster intelligence? Perhaps the universe is filled with planets of sharks or planets of plants, where life simply repeats itself instinctively without ever asking what it is. Modern science, through telescopes like the Hubble or the James Webb, has helped us understand that elements like carbon, hydrogen, and nitrogen are present everywhere. But those elements are just the bricks. To build a castle of intelligence, you need an invisible architect called probability. And the probability that all of Earth's fortunate events would repeat elsewhere may be extremely low. This is a perspective that makes us feel both proud and a little lonely. We are the result of a chain of biological miracles that have taken place over billions of years. The silence of the universe, therefore, might not be because there is no life, but because intelligence is a mountain peak too high for most species to climb. We stand on that peak, looking down into the valley of space and time, trying to find another spark of fire, but seeing only the enveloping night. But it is this very rarity that makes every human being, every thought, and every one of our dreams more precious than ever. As you lie here, in the gentle breath of the late night, let your mind feel the miracle of this very brain that is thinking. It is the most refined product of the universe, forged through extinctions, accidental symbioses, and millions of years of struggle for survival. We are the universe's way of observing itself. The journey to find intelligent life out there will continue, because humanity carries within it a curiosity that never fades. But regardless of the outcome, we have come to understand that our presence in this world is not a given. It is a beautiful symphony, written with the notes of randomness. The silence of the night no longer feels empty, but instead becomes a mirror reflecting our own specialness. Tomorrow, we will listen together to the whispers from radio telescopes to see how humanity has tried to break this silence. But for now, let these thoughts on the miracle of life carry you into a state of ease, like a leaf drifting on the river of time. After wandering through these thoughts on the rarity of intelligence and the harsh barriers of the universe, let us return to the tangible efforts of humankind. Tonight, I invite you to imagine giant metal dishes standing silently in remote valleys or on towering mountaintops, pointing their sensitive ears up toward the blue heavens. These are the radio telescopes, humanity's tireless messengers, diligently listening for the smallest vibration from deep space, hoping to find a greeting, a whisper from a distant civilization. Why do we choose radio waves to search for our neighbors when the universe has so many other forms of energy? The answer lies in the magic of physics. Radio waves are like a form of light that the human eye cannot see, but they have the special ability to pass through the giant dust clouds of hydrogen and the dense bands of methane gas in the Milky Way without being scattered. This allows us to see through the obscuring curtains of the galaxy to reach star systems thousands of light years away. In this journey of listening, scientists have focused on a special frequency range they call the water hole. Imagine that in the vast universe, there is a very quiet frequency band situated between the emission line of hydrogen and the emission line of hydroxyl. Hydrogen is the most common element in the universe, and when hydrogen combines with hydroxyl, they form water, the source of all life. Choosing this frequency to listen is like choosing a roadside tavern that every cosmic traveler would surely stop at for a drink of water. It is believed that if an intelligent civilization wanted to send a signal, they would also choose the frequency of hydrogen, a common language for the entire universe. The specific frequency we listen to most often is 1.42 gigahertz, which is equivalent to 1,420,000,000 cycles per second. This is the frequency that hydrogen atoms emit when they change their energy state. For decades, projects like SETI, the search for extraterrestrial intelligence, have continuously scanned millions of different frequency channels. We have listened to thousands of stars like our sun, hoping to catch a rhythm not born of nature. On a summer night in 1977, an event sent a shockwave through the scientific community. At the Big Ear Radio Observatory in Ohio, an astronomer named Jerry Amon was reviewing collected data when he discovered an incredibly strong and unusual signal. This signal lasted for exactly 72 seconds, the maximum duration the observatory could capture as the Earth rotated. It was so powerful that he circled the string of characters on the printout and wrote a single, excited word beside it. Wow! That wow signal bore all the hallmarks of an artificial extraterrestrial transmission. It was concentrated in a very narrow frequency and was unlike any natural noise from stars or nebulae. Yet, the mystery is that it appeared only once. After that night, no matter how many times we pointed countless telescopes back to that exact spot, the signal never returned. It was like a fleeting greeting between two ships in the vast, dark night, leaving us with curiosity and a profound, lingering wonder about whether someone, somewhere, had once tried to contact us. Try to imagine the scale of this search. The astronomer Jill Tarter once offered a wonderful analogy. Our 60 years of searching for aliens with radio waves is like scooping a single glass of water from the ocean to check if there are fish. Just because that one glass is empty doesn't mean the ocean is devoid of life. The universe is far too vast, and we have only scanned an infinitesimally small fraction of the night sky. On top of that, we also face the barrier of time. Suppose a civilization 1,000 light years away sends a message right at this moment. That message would have to travel at the speed of light, nearly 300,000 kilometers per second, and would take exactly 1,000 years to reach Earth. By the time we receive that greeting, the civilization that sent it may have changed completely, or perhaps may no longer even exist. Interstellar communication is not a live conversation, but an exchange between the past and the future. Perhaps the silence we are facing isn't because no one is speaking, but because our technology is still too young. We have only known how to use radio waves for a little over 100 years. That is a fleeting moment compared to the 13 billion year age of the universe. It's possible that advanced civilizations out there have moved on to more modern methods of communication, like lasers, tiny neutrinos that can pass through entire planets, or even quantum entanglement, which we are only just beginning to study in our laboratories. Let your mind settle now, feeling the stillness in the room. The silence of the universe can be a test of patience. We are still sending our own messages out into the void. In 1974, the Arecibo Observatory sent a message in binary code toward the Hercules star cluster, containing information about human DNA structure, our physical form, and Earth's position in the solar system. That message is still drifting through space, carrying the hope of an entire species. Even though all we have received so far is the faint whisper of cosmic background noise, the sounds of dying stars and distant explosions, the act of listening itself holds immense meaning. It teaches us to appreciate the quiet and to be humbled by the vastness of space. Every time a new telescope like the James Webb is launched or a new radio array is built, we open another door to peer into the darkness. Life might be out there somewhere, listening just as we are. Perhaps they are also wondering why the Milky Way is so quiet. Or maybe they are waiting for a signal that is clear enough, sincere enough, from a young friend like humanity. Whatever the answer may be, the journey of listening to the whispers on radio waves remains a testament to our relentless desire to find connection in this boundless ocean of stars. In the steady rhythm of your breath tonight, let those invisible radio waves drift gently through your mind. They carry the mysteries of hydrogen, of water, and of civilizations that might exist somewhere among billions of stars. The universe is still there, open and silent, waiting for the moment we are mature enough to understand its enigmatic melodies. In the vast silence of the night, we sometimes get the strange feeling that the stars above are not just lifeless points of light, but are like eyes quietly watching humanity's every step. The theory we will explore together tonight is both fascinating and deeply philosophical, explaining the silence of the universe in a completely different way. It is the zoo hypothesis. This hypothesis suggests that the reason we don't hear any response from space isn't because no one is out there, but because they are deliberately keeping their distance and observing us from afar, much like how humans observe wild animals in a nature preserve. This concept was proposed by astronomer John Ball in 1973. He argued that extraterrestrial civilizations may have evolved to an extremely high level, millions of years beyond our wildest imagination. They have long been aware of Earth's existence, but they have mutually agreed upon a common principle: do not interfere, do not reveal themselves, and allow life on Earth to develop as naturally as possible. From this perspective, Earth is like a giant zoo or a galactic preserve, where humanity is a species being protected and studied. To understand this better, imagine yourself standing in a vast national park. There, scientists monitor the lives of a tiger pack or an ant colony. They use hidden cameras and remote observation devices so as not to disturb the animals' habits. If we were to suddenly jump into the middle of the tiger pack and try to talk to them, we would disrupt their entire natural evolution, or even cause unnecessary panic. To the transcendent civilizations out there, humanity might seem like a tiny ant colony, busily building its home. Their revealing themselves could cause such a massive cultural and psychological shock that human society might collapse or have its developmental trajectory altered forever. An important concept that accompanies this theory is the Galactic Club. Imagine that within the vast Milky Way, a community of thousands or even millions of advanced civilizations already exists. They have common laws and ethical codes for how to engage with emerging species like us. One of those rules might be a prime directive of non-contact. They will wait until humanity reaches a certain threshold of development, both technologically and in terms of moral consciousness. Only when we are mature enough not to destroy ourselves with nuclear weapons, and tolerant enough to accept the differences of other species, will the door to that club officially open. The silence of the universe, from this perspective, is a benevolent silence. The civilizations out there don't want to disturb our dream. They stand in the shadows of space, perhaps behind the rings of Saturn, or hidden in the hydrogen dust clouds at the edge of the solar system, quietly documenting how we navigate our wars, how we deal with climate change, or how we begin to breathe an atmosphere filled with the carbon dioxide of our own making. They watch us learn to love and to discover knowledge, like parents watching a child take their very first steps. But why haven't we found any physical evidence of this observation? If they are watching us, surely there must be devices, ships, or observation stations somewhere. This is where we need to consider the technological disparity. A civilization a million years more advanced than us would possess technology that, to us, would be indistinguishable from magic. They could use perfect cloaking materials or place their observation posts in dimensions our human senses cannot perceive. Even our most modern telescopes, like the James Webb or Hubble, can only see what belongs to the conventional spectrum of light. Their whispers might be all around us, but they are encoded in forms of energy we don't yet know how to decipher. Another small hypothesis within the zoo theory is the isolation hypothesis. It's possible that Earth is located in a region of space marked as a quarantine zone. Perhaps in our past, we exhibited actions or behaviors that concerned other civilizations. They decided to place us in a state of informational quarantine to ensure the safety of the galactic community. We are like an isolated island in the ocean, whose inhabitants still believe they are the only people in the world, while great ships sail silently past on the horizon, never stopping to visit. Tuy nhiên, thuyết vườn bách thú cũng đối mặt với một câu hỏi hóc búa. Làm thế nào mà tất cả các nền văn minh trong vũ trụ đều đồng ý giữ im lặng? Chỉ cần một nền văn minh duy nhất phá luật, chỉ cần một nhóm nhỏ, những kẻ nổi loạn ngoài hành tinh muốn liên lạc với chúng ta, thì sự im lặng sẽ bị phá vỡ ngay lập tức. Các nhà khoa học gọi đây là vấn đề về tính thống nhất. Để thuyết này đúng, cần có một quyền lực trung tâm vô cùng mạnh mẽ hoặc một sự thấu hiểu tuyệt đối giữa tất cả các thực thể trong dải ngân hà. Liệu có khả năng tồn tại một chính phủ thiên hà đủ uy quyền để kiểm soát mọi hành vi liên lạc trên hàng tỷ hệ sao? Nếu thuyết vườn bách thú là thật, nó mang lại cho chúng ta một cảm giác vừa an lòng vừa đầy thử thách. An lòng vì chúng ta không hề cô đơn và có những người bảo vệ đang đứng trong bóng tối. Thử thách vì chúng ta phải tự mình chứng minh giá trị của sự tồn tại. Chúng ta phải vượt qua được những rào cản của sự thù ghét, lòng tham và sự ích kỷ để xứng đáng được mời vào bàn tiệc của những vì sao. Sự im lặng lúc này không phải là một sự bỏ rơi mà là một kỳ thi lớn. Hãy để tâm trí bạn thư giãn và cảm nhận sự bao la của đêm khuya. Bạn đang nằm trên một hành tinh xanh nhỏ bé, quay đều giữa một khu vườn vũ trụ tĩnh lặng. Những nền văn minh ngoài kia có lẽ đang mỉm cười khi thấy chúng ta bắt đầu biết tò mò về họ. Mỗi bước tiến trong khoa học, mỗi nỗ lực bảo vệ môi trường và mỗi hành động tử tế giữa người với người đều có thể là một điểm cộng trong cuốn sổ ghi chép của những người quan sát thầm lặng. Dải ngân hà vẫn rực rỡ với hàng trăm tỷ ngôi sao. Mỗi ngôi sao là một ngọn đèn trong khu vườn vĩ đại. Chúng ta không cần phải vội vã. Thời gian của vũ trụ tính bằng hàng tỷ năm, và chúng ta mới chỉ bắt đầu những chương đầu tiên của lịch sử nhân loại. Sự kiên nhẫn là chìa khóa để thấu hiểu. Khi chúng ta đủ tĩnh lặng, đủ lắng đọng, chúng ta có thể cảm nhận được nhịp đập của sự sống đang hiện hữu ở khắp mọi nơi. Chỉ là nó đang chờ đợi một thời điểm thích hợp để lộ diện. Ngày mai, chúng ta sẽ tiếp tục khám phá những mặt tối hơn của sự im lặng, nơi mà sự biến mất của các nền văn minh không phải vì họ đang trốn tránh, mà vì họ đã không thể vượt qua được chính mình. Nhưng đêm nay, hãy cứ để ý tưởng về những người bảo vệ thầm lặng đưa bạn vào một giấc ngủ thanh thản. Vũ trụ đang canh giữ cho chúng ta, và trái đất vẫn là một ốc đảo bình yên giữa đại dương tinh tú rộng lớn. Trong bóng đêm tĩnh mịch của căn phòng, hãy để tâm trí bạn một lần nữa trôi vào khoảng không vô định giữa những thiên hà xa xôi. Sau khi đã đi qua những giả thuyết về sự hiếm hoi của sự sống hay sự quan sát thầm lặng từ một vườn bách thú vũ trụ, đêm nay chúng ta sẽ cùng đối diện với một khả năng trầm mặc hơn, một lời giải thích mang tính cảnh báo về sự im lặng của các vì sao. Đó là giả thuyết về sự tự diệt vong của các nền văn minh, một ý niệm rằng có lẽ vũ trụ đầy rẫy những ngôi mộ của những dân tộc đã từng rất huy hoàng nhưng đã lụi tàn ngay khi họ vừa chạm tới ngưỡng cửa của những vì sao. Bạn hãy tưởng tượng về công thức Drake mà chúng ta đã nhắc đến ở những chương đầu. Trong chuỗi những phép tính toán học ấy, có một biến số mang tên L, đại diện cho tuổi thọ trung bình của một nền văn minh có khả năng truyền phát tín hiệu. Nếu một nền văn minh xuất hiện, phát triển rực rỡ nhưng lại biến mất quá nhanh, thì xác suất để hai nền văn minh cùng tồn tại và liên lạc được với nhau trong một vũ trụ 13,8 tỷ năm tuổi là vô cùng thấp. Sự im lặng mà chúng ta đang nếm trải có thể là hệ quả của việc các nền văn minh chỉ như những đốm lửa nhỏ, lóe sáng rồi vụt tắt trước khi kịp nhìn thấy ánh sáng của nhau. Tại sao một nền văn minh lại có thể tự diệt vong khi họ đã sở hữu những công nghệ siêu việt? Các nhà khoa học gọi đây là giai đoạn vị thành niên của công nghệ, khi một giống loài trở nên đủ thông minh để làm chủ những nguồn năng lượng khổng lồ từ hydro và hạt nhân. Họ cũng đồng thời tạo ra những công cụ có khả năng xóa sổ toàn bộ hành tinh của mình. Hãy nhìn vào lịch sử ngắn ngủi của nhân loại trong chưa đầy 100 năm qua. Kể từ khi chúng ta biết cách tách hạt nhân nguyên tử, thế giới đã luôn sống trong nỗi lo sợ về một cuộc chiến tranh hủy diệt. Chỉ cần một sai lầm, một sự nóng nảy nhất thời, bầu khí quyển chứa đầy oxy và nitơ của trái đất có thể bị thay thế bởi bụi phóng xạ và mùa đông hạt nhân kéo dài hàng thế kỷ. Bên cạnh bóng ma của vũ khí, một rào cản khác cũng không kém phần khắc nghiệt chính là sự cạn kiệt tài nguyên và biến đổi khí hậu. Để một nền văn minh vươn ra khỏi hành tinh mẹ, họ cần một lượng năng lượng khổng lồ. Trong quá trình khai thác năng lượng từ than đá, dầu mỏ hay các chất hóa học khác, họ vô tình làm thay đổi sự cân bằng mỏng manh của hành tinh. Lượng khí carbonic tăng cao tạo ra hiệu ứng nhà kính, làm băng ở hai cực tan chảy và nước biển dâng cao. Một nền văn minh có thể bị kiệt quệ về nguồn lực để khắc phục những thảm họa môi trường do chính mình gây ra, đến mức họ không còn đủ sức để duy trì các chương trình khám phá không gian. Khi đó, họ bị giam lỏng trên chính hành tinh của mình, cho đến khi những tài nguyên cuối cùng cạn sạch. Sự phát triển của trí tuệ nhân tạo và công nghệ sinh học cũng là những con dao hai lưỡi đầy nguy hiểm. Hãy hình dung một kịch bản nơi những sinh vật máy móc do chính con người tạo ra trở nên quá thông minh và vượt khỏi tầm kiểm soát, hoặc một loại virus nhân tạo được nhào nặng trong các phòng thí nghiệm, vô tình thoát ra ngoài và quét sạch sự sống đa bào chỉ trong vài tuần. Những nền văn minh ngoài kia có lẽ cũng đã từng trải qua những giai đoạn tương tự. Có thể họ đã tạo ra những thực thể trí tuệ không có cảm xúc, những kẻ không có nhu cầu liên lạc hay khám phá vũ trụ, mà chỉ tập trung vào việc tiêu thụ vật chất để duy trì sự tồn tại của chính chúng. Sự im lặng của vũ trụ, dưới góc nhìn này, trở thành một lời nhắc nhở lạnh lẽo về tính mong manh của trí tuệ. Có lẽ việc phát triển trí tuệ đi kèm với bản năng chiếm hữu và bành trướng là một lối thiết kế của quá trình tiến hóa. Một giống loài càng thông minh, họ càng có xu hướng tạo ra những công cụ phức tạp hơn, và rủi ro từ những công cụ đó cũng tăng lên theo cấp số nhân. Nếu mọi nền văn minh đều đi vào vết xe đổ này, thì giải ngân hà của chúng ta có lẽ chỉ là một nghĩa trang khổng lồ, nơi những tàng tích của các công trình bằng sắt và silice đang dần bị bụi thời gian vùi lấp trên những hành tinh đá hoang vu. Nhưng bạn hãy để lòng mình dịu lại. Dù giả thuyết này mang màu sắc trầm buồn, nó cũng mở ra một hướng đi đầy hy vọng cho chính chúng ta. Nếu chúng ta nhận diện được những cạm bẫy này, chúng ta có cơ hội để trở thành ngoại lệ. Sự im lặng của các vì sao giống như một hồi chuông cảnh tỉnh, thúc giục nhân loại phải học cách chung sống hòa bình, bảo vệ bầu khí quyển xanh tươi và sử dụng công nghệ một cách thông thái. Mỗi bước tiến nhỏ trong việc giảm thiểu khí carbonic, mỗi hiệp ước hòa bình được ký kết đều là một nỗ lực để chúng ta kéo dài biến số L trong công nghệ, để một ngày nào đó tiếng nói của trái đất có thể vang xa đến tận những thiên hà khác. Hãy hít thở thật chậm cảm nhận sự an yên của một hành tinh vẫn còn đang tràn đầy nhựa sống. Ngoài kia, những vì sao như sao Thiên Lang hay sao Bắc Cực vẫn đang bền bỉ tỏa sáng. Chúng đã chứng kiến hàng tỷ năm lịch sử và có lẽ cũng đã chứng kiến sự thăng trầm của biết bao nền văn minh. Sự tĩnh lặng của đêm khuya không phải là dấu chấm hết, mà là một khoảng lặng để chúng ta suy ngẫm về giá trị của hiện tại. Chúng ta vẫn đang ở đây, vẫn đang hít thở oxy và vẫn đang mơ về những chân trời mới. Đó đã là một điều kỳ diệu phi thường. Có lẽ ngoài kia cũng có những nền văn minh đã vượt qua được giai đoạn nguy hiểm này. Họ đã học cách sống bền vững, làm chủ năng lượng từ hydro của các ngôi sao mà không phá hủy ngôi nhà của mình. Họ chọn cách giữ im lặng, không phải vì họ đã biến mất, mà vì họ đang chờ đợi những người bạn mới lớn như chúng ta học được bài học về sự tự tôn và bảo tồn sự sống. Vũ trụ không vội vã, và có lẽ lời hồi đáp mà chúng ta hằng mong đợi chỉ đến khi chúng ta chứng minh được rằng mình có khả năng tồn tại lâu dài giữa đại dương tinh tú khắc nghiệt. Màn đêm vẫn bao phủ, nhẹ nhàng và vỗ về. Những nỗi lo âu về tương lai hãy tạm để lại phía sau, nhường chỗ cho cảm giác biết ơn vì chúng ta vẫn còn có nhau trên viên ngọc xanh này. Trái đất vẫn đang che chở cho giấc ngủ của bạn, và dải ngân hà vẫn đang dang rộng vòng tay chứa đựng những bí ẩn chưa lời giải đáp. Sự im lặng của vũ trụ đêm nay là một sự im lặng để thấu hiểu, để trân trọng và để yêu thương hơn cuộc sống mà chúng ta đang có. Dù cho có bao nhiêu nền văn minh đã lùi vào dĩ thánh, ánh sáng của hy vọng vẫn không bao giờ tắt. Chúng ta là những người kế thừa di sản của các vì sao, mang trong mình những nguyên tố từ vàng, sắt đến carbon. Chúng ta có nhiệm vụ sống tiếp câu chuyện của vũ trụ một cách bền bỉ và rực rỡ nhất có thể. Trong màn đêm tĩnh mịch, khi bạn đang nằm thư giãn và để tâm trí mình trôi bồng bềnh giữa những vì sao, có bao giờ bạn cảm thấy một sự rung mình nhẹ trước sự im lặng quá đối của không gian? Đêm nay, chúng ta sẽ cùng khám phá một trong những lý thuyết đen tối nhưng cũng đầy sức thuyết phục nhất để giải thích cho sự im lặng này. Đó là thuyết khu rừng tối. Đây là một cách nhìn nhận vũ trụ không phải như một vườn bách thú yên bình, mà như một nơi đầy rẫy những nguy hiểm tiềm tàng, nơi mà im lặng chính là cách duy nhất để một giống loài có thể bảo vệ mình và tồn tại. Imagine our entire vast universe as a dense forest at night. In this forest, countless hunters are moving silently through the brush. These hunters are advanced civilizations. They might take on different forms, perhaps built from carbon atoms like us, or from silicon, or even from forms of energy we have never known. However, they all share one single thing in common. They long to survive and preserve their kind in an environment where resources are always finite. To understand why this forest is so dark and so quiet, we need to consider two fundamental laws of the universe from this perspective. The first law, the primary goal of every civilization, is to preserve its own life. The second law, civilizations constantly grow and expand, but the total amount of matter and resources in the universe is limited. These two laws place every species in an unavoidable state of confrontation. When a civilization develops to the point where it needs more energy, it will have to search for it in distant star systems. And that is when they risk encountering their other neighbors. Now, put yourself in the position of a hunter in that forest. You hear a small sound, a faint rustle in the distance. It could be a harmless rabbit, but it could also be a ferocious tiger. In the universe, the distances between stars are immense. A radio signal sent from Earth might take tens, hundreds, or even thousands of years to reach another planet. This distance creates an insurmountable information barrier, leading to what scientists call the chain of suspicion. If you discover another civilization, you can't be certain if they are good or evil. Even if you send a peaceful greeting in English or any other language, and they respond in a friendly manner, you still cannot fully trust them. Are they pretending to be friendly, waiting for an opportunity to attack you? And more importantly, are they thinking that you are the evil one, plotting to destroy them? This suspicion repeats itself like an endless spiral. In an environment where survival is the only priority, the safest, most logical, and most practical solution is to eliminate the threat as soon as it reveals itself, before it has a chance to do the same to you. Another factor that makes the forest even more frightening is the technological explosion. In the 13.8 billion year history of the universe, a million years is like the blink of an eye. A civilization today might still be using primitive tools, but just a few thousand years later, an extremely short period, in astronomical terms, they could achieve exponential growth, mastering hydrogen energy and creating weapons capable of destroying an entire star. Therefore, a seasoned hunter in the cosmos will never allow a potential seed to have the chance to grow strong. They will choose to eliminate anyone who has just made a sound, even if it was just an innocent hello. It is for this very reason that the universe is silent. Not because there is no one else out there, but because everyone is holding their breath, hiding in the darkness. They turn off all their transmitters. They conceal their great structures of iron and steel. They limit their use of any light or heat that could be detected from afar. They understand that with just one small mistake, just one accidental radio signal leaking into space, they will become the target of some hunter lurking in a distant galaxy. Looking back at Earth, we see ourselves as a child crying out in that dark forest. For nearly 100 years, we have been carelessly broadcasting countless radio signals into space. We broadcast television shows, welcoming messages, music, and even our precise location in the solar system. From the perspective of the dark forest theory, this is an incredibly risky act. We are lighting a large fire in the middle of the night and hoping that those who see it will come to befriend us, when in reality, they might be hunters with their bows drawn, waiting. However, as you prepare for sleep, please do not worry too much. Although this theory sounds harsh, the universe is still incredibly vast. The signals that humanity has sent have only traveled a very small distance compared to the scale of the Milky Way. For a signal from Earth to reach the edge of our galaxy, it would have to travel for 100,000 years. And in that time, the signal would become very weak, easily lost in the natural noise of stars or clouds of hydrogen dust. We may still be enveloped by the silence of space for a long time to come. The theory of the dark forest teaches us about humility and caution. It reminds us that intelligence is not only the ability to discover, but also the ability to perceive danger and know how to protect oneself. The silence of the universe is not necessarily a meaningless void. It may be a wise choice for survival made by our predecessors in the galaxy. Tonight, as you hear the gentle wind blowing outside your window or the rustling of leaves, feel fortunate that we live on a beautiful green planet, surrounded by a gentle atmosphere full of oxygen and nitrogen. Our Earth is like a small, warm home with a soft yellow light, hidden behind the canopy of the cosmic forest. We are still safe under the protection of silence. Perhaps the silence of the stars is the most wonderful music of all. It doesn't bother anyone, it doesn't threaten anyone, and it leaves us a space to dream, to learn, and to grow. Instead of trying to shout to attract attention, we can spend that time perfecting ourselves, learning to love one another, and protecting this tiny home of ours. Let this idea of the dark forest not be a source of fear, but a reminder for us to cherish the peace we have now. The universe is still there, silent and benevolent, waiting for us to pass through this curious and impulsive stage of our youth. When we are mature enough, perhaps we will know how to step into the light in the safest and most elegant way. The Milky Way continues its silent turn, carrying with it billions of stars that twinkle like distant, tiny embers. Now, close your eyes and feel the absolute safety of your room. The silence of the deep night is a comforting embrace, guiding you into a deep and peaceful sleep. Tomorrow, we will continue our journey to learn about civilizations that might not choose to hide, but instead choose to sleep. awaiting a new era. In the absolute stillness of the night, as all things seem to sink into a deep slumber to recover energy after a long day, let us ponder another strange possibility of the universe. If in the last chapter we worried about hunters hiding in the dark forest, tonight I invite you to a gentler and more patient vision. Perhaps the reason we hear no reply from the stars is because the transcendent civilizations out there are sleeping. They have not vanished, nor are they hiding, but they are in a state of pause, waiting for a more suitable time to awaken. Scientists call this the estivation or hibernation hypothesis of civilizations. Imagine a small frog in an arid desert. When the harsh sun depletes the water and food sources, the frog does not try to hop around and exhaust itself. Instead, it burrows deep into the cool sand, lowers its heart rate and breath to a minimum, and enters a long sleep. It waits until the first raindrops fall, when the environment becomes more hospitable and life becomes abundant again. Civilizations in the universe might be employing a similar strategy, but on a much grander scale of time and space. To understand why these giants of the galaxy would choose to slumber, we need to talk about an important law of physics: the relationship between temperature and the efficiency of information processing. A civilization that has reached its peak is no longer very interested in expanding its territory or exploiting raw resources like iron or silicon. Their ultimate goal might be information processing, artificial intelligence, or the creation of perfect simulated worlds inside supercomputers. And according to the laws of thermodynamics, the colder the environment a computer operates in, the higher its efficiency. Right now, our universe is still quite warm. The cosmic background radiation, the afterglow of the Big Bang, is currently at about 3 Kelvin, which is about negative 270 degrees Celsius. For a super-advanced civilization that considers information its lifeblood, this temperature is still too hot. It's like trying to run an extremely powerful computer in the middle of a sweltering summer day. The fan would have to roar, consuming a great deal of energy just for cooling. If they chose to be active now, they would waste a colossal amount of resources from the hydrogen and helium of stars just to fight against the heat of the environment. Therefore, they have made a profoundly strategic decision: to go to sleep. They build enormous storage stations in the coldest parts of the galaxy, perhaps at the edges of star systems or in distant clouds of hydrogen dust. There, they freeze their entire civilization and wait. They wait for billions, even trillions of years, until the universe expands even further, until the background radiation cools to near absolute zero. At that point, the efficiency of information processing will increase by trillions of trillions of trillions of times. A small amount of energy from an old, dying star could then help them think and create more than everything we could possibly do today. From this perspective, the silence of the universe isn't a sign of death, but an expression of a profound, intelligent stillness. These civilizations are like great giants, slumbering in the caves of time. They do not wish to be disturbed by the noise of younger, emerging species like us. They have retreated into digital dreams, where a single second in reality can stretch into millions of years in their virtual worlds. We are shouting, sending out radio signals, but to them, those signals are perhaps no more than the faint buzzing of a mosquito passing by the ear of someone deep in slumber. Allow your body to relax and feel the peace this hypothesis offers. It suggests that the universe can be an incredibly patient place. The civilizations out there are not in a hurry. They understand that the lifetime of an individual or a species is but the blink of an eye. But the lifetime of the universe is eternal. They have learned to live in harmony with nature, knowing when to act and when to rest. The silence we feel tonight is that great rest. When we look up at the sky and see planets like Neptune or Uranus quietly spinning in the cold darkness, remember that in places even more distant, There may be beings waiting for a digital winter to end before they awaken. They have left behind automated systems to watch over the universe. Unmanned ships that silently glide through galaxies to ensure no incidents occur while they sleep. Perhaps the unidentified flying objects that people sometimes see are these very automated night watchmen. The theory of sleeping giants helps us realize that intelligence isn't just about technological explosions, but also about a deep understanding of the laws of nature. Instead of trying to change the universe to serve them, super-advanced civilizations have chosen to adapt and await the perfect moment. This is a valuable lesson for humanity about sustainability and long-term vision. We are often too hasty in consuming resources and seeking immediate results, forgetting that long-term survival requires a gentle rhythm in sync with the flow of time. Tonight, as you feel the quiet enveloping this space, let your mind relax into the rhythm of the universe's breath. You are living in an age where the stars are still burning brightly, where hydrogen and helium are constantly transforming to create the light we see and the oxygen we breathe. This is an age of activity, of vibrant life on a blue planet. But somewhere out there, our predecessors are dreaming great dreams, awaiting a distant future when the universe becomes calmer and cooler. The silence of the night no longer brings a sense of emptiness, but rather feels like a gentle lullaby, inviting us to cherish this peace. We don't need to worry about why no one is answering us. Perhaps they are simply busy sleeping, or they exist in a state of being that we are not yet quiet enough to perceive. The Milky Way continues its silent spin, carrying with it the caves that hold the memories of millions of hibernating civilizations. Our Earth, with its atmosphere full of nitrogen and water vapor, is like a small, warm cradle in the middle of a cold ocean. Allow yourself to drift into sleep, just as those super-advanced civilizations out there are doing. When you sleep, you are attuning yourself to the rhythm of the entire galaxy. The story of the sleeping giants is a reminder that sometimes silence and rest are the highest forms of wisdom. Tomorrow, we will explore a more audacious idea together, that perhaps the reality we see is just a part of a colossal computer program. But for now, let the quiet soothe your soul. Everything in the universe has its time, and tonight is the time for you to rest deeply. The night is late now, and the space around you is likely filled with only the sound of your steady breath and an enveloping stillness. When our minds are no longer besieged by the worries of daily life, we often begin to ask the strangest questions. Tonight, I invite you to join me in exploring a bold hypothesis, an idea that even the greatest minds, like physicist Elon Musk or philosopher Nick Bostrom, have seriously contemplated. It is this: what if this entire vast universe, with its billions of stars and planets, is actually a super-advanced computer program, and the silence of the universe, for which we seek an answer, is actually just a way for the programmer to save processing power for the system? To understand this, first, just look at the development of technology on Earth over the past few decades. About 50 years ago, we had only incredibly simple video games, where square-shaped dots moved slowly across a black and white screen. Yet today, we have created dazzling virtual worlds where millions of people can coexist, interact, and experience images so realistic they are hard to believe. If we could advance so far in just a few decades, then imagine a civilization that has existed for millions of years. They would certainly have the ability to create cosmic simulations so perfect that the beings inside them, us, would never realize they are living in a computer program. From this perspective, the silence of the universe suddenly becomes incredibly logical. Imagine you're playing an open-world exploration game. For the computer to run smoothly, it would never load the entire map at once. It only renders what is within your line of sight. When you stand on Earth and look up at the sky, the program only needs to render distant points of light. The programmer probably didn't install any other aliens into the source code of this simulation, simply because sustaining life for billions of other civilizations would consume a colossal amount of bandwidth and processing resources, which isn't truly necessary for our experience. Consider the laws of physics that we hold as truth. Why is the speed of light limited to approximately 300,000 kilometers per second? Why can't it be faster? In the world of computers, every processor has a certain speed limit. The speed of light could be the maximum processing speed of the server running this universe program. No information can travel faster than the system's own speed, and the delicate physical constants that allow hydrogen, helium, and oxygen atoms to combine and create life. All of these might just be variables that were perfectly tuned from the beginning to prevent the program from crashing. One of the strangest pieces of evidence scientists often mention when discussing a simulated world is quantum mechanics. Experiments have shown that at the subatomic level, particles like dust or atoms don't seem to exist in a specific location until we observe them. This sounds very similar to how modern video games work. The system only truly draws the details of a room when your character opens the door and steps inside. When we turn our backs, the world behind us may vanish to allocate processing resources to what's in front of us. Is it possible the universe is employing a similar resource-saving technique? If we are truly living in a simulation, then telescopes like Hubble or James Webb aren't just tools for observing space, but are more like lenses trying to peer at the pixels of the cosmic screen. We see distant, colorful nebulae, the explosions of giant stars that create gold and iron, but all of it could just be pre-programmed footage designed to create a realistic backdrop for humanity's journey on Earth. The silence that Enrico Fermi once puzzled over suddenly has a simple yet haunting answer. We are alone, because this program was designed specifically for us. There might be millions of other simulations running in parallel where the Milky Way is teeming with aliens, but in this particular server, we are the only players. Or perhaps other civilizations are too far away, outside the range that the system needs to render in detail, leaving us to see only empty, cold voids. Take a deep breath and feel the softness of the pillow beneath your head. Even if this reality is a simulation, your emotions, your love, and the wonder of being alive are still completely real. The programmer may have created the rules for nitrogen, carbon, and water, but it is we who have woven meaning into this life. The silence of the universe does not diminish our value. On the contrary, it shows just how important a part we are in the grand scheme of reality. Sometimes, small system glitches can occur, leading to phenomena that science cannot yet explain, or those strangely familiar feelings we call déjà vu. But most of the time, the cosmic program runs perfectly, leading us from one discovery to another, one wonder to the next. The Milky Way continues its silent turn, carrying billions of brilliant stars, whether they are real matter or just complex lines of binary code. As you sink deeper into the relaxation of the late night, let this idea bring you a sense of lightness. We don't have to strain ourselves to conquer a hostile universe, because this universe may have been created for us to learn and to grow. The silence of the stars tonight is like a rest note in a long piece of music, giving you time to pause and prepare for new discoveries tomorrow. Let your mind drift freely, like dust motes in the light, gliding past the boundaries of reality and illusion. Whatever this world may be, the night sky is still beautiful, and you are safe within the embrace of stillness. Those transcendent civilizations, whether they are programmers or slumbering neighbors, remind us of the greatness of intellect and the thirst for truth. Everything around you now, from the gentle scent of the room to the ticking of a clock, is part of this wonderful experience. Rest easy, for the cosmic program will continue to operate smoothly, protecting your sleep completely amidst countless glittering stars. In the immense silence of this night, as your mind has wandered through distant hypotheses of hidden civilizations or simulated worlds, let me guide you back to the reality of the extraordinary efforts humanity is making. We are not just waiting for an echo from the void. We are actively opening our eyes to see deep into the darkness. Tonight, we will talk about the new frontiers, where breathtaking advances in technology are helping us touch the deepest secrets of distant planets. This is the era of the James Webb Telescope and the great missions seeking answers to the universe's silence. Imagine a giant golden flower silently blooming in the cold of space, about 1.5 million kilometers from Earth. That is the James Webb Space Telescope, a symbol of humanity's aspirations in the new century. With its enormous mirror plated in pure gold, James Webb doesn't see the universe in ordinary light, like the human eye, but in infrared. This allows it to pierce through dense clouds of dust filled with hydrogen and helium to observe newly forming stars, or to analyze the atmospheres of planets trillions upon trillions of kilometers away. Before, the search for life was like trying to hear a whisper in a storm. But with James Webb, we now have a sharp tool to perform spectroscopic analysis. Imagine, when light from a star passes through a planet's atmosphere, the chemicals present there leave their own unique fingerprints on the spectrum of light. If that planet has water, carbon dioxide, methane, or especially oxygen and nitrogen, James Webb will be able to identify them. Discovering these biosignatures is the key to breaking the silence. Even if our neighbors send no radio signals, the very breath of their planet will speak of the presence of life. One of the most promising targets right now is the planetary system named TRAPPIST-1. There, at least 7 rocky planets, similar in size to Earth, orbit a small red star. A few of them lie snugly within the habitable zone, where liquid water could exist. James Webb is diligently observing these worlds, searching for traces of carbon dioxide and water vapor. Every piece of data sent back is a crucial piece of the puzzle. If we find an oxygen-rich atmosphere on an alien planet, it would be a moment that changes human history forever, proving that we are not alone. But the search doesn't stop with distant star systems. Right here in our own solar system, new frontiers are also opening up in astonishing ways. Tonight, as you think of the giant Jupiter, remember that orbiting it is a moon named Europa. Beneath Europa's thick, rock-hard ice shell lies a vast liquid water ocean, holding more water than all of Earth's oceans combined. There, in the eternal darkness, heat from the moon's core may be creating hydrothermal vents, where carbon and sulfur compounds interact to form the first seeds of life. Soon, missions like NASA's Europa Clipper or the European Space Agency's JUICE will set out to approach these ocean worlds. We are not looking for aliens who build cities, but for tiny organisms swimming beneath the frozen ice. Because if life can sprout independently in 2 different places within the same solar system, it means this universe must surely be teeming with life. A little farther out, at Saturn, the moon Enceladus is also telling us a wondrous story. Spacecraft like Cassini once discovered enormous plumes erupting from cracks at Enceladus's south pole. In those water jets, scientists have found salt, complex organic molecules, and even hydrogen gas. This indicates that beneath the ice lies an incredibly dynamic chemical environment, very similar to the hydrothermal vents on Earth's ocean floors where life is believed to have begun. This journey to conquer new frontiers teaches us about perseverance. To build and launch James Webb, thousands of scientists had to work tirelessly for over 20 years, overcoming countless technical and financial hurdles. They had to calculate every millimeter, every millionth of a second, to ensure that Golden Mirror could collect the faintest particles of light that had traveled for 13 billion years to reach us. That effort is humanity's answer to the universe's silence. We are still searching, and we will not give up. Let your mind relax, feeling the peace that comes from knowing that the most brilliant minds of our species are working relentlessly. The universe may be silent, but humanity never stops observing. Each image sent back from James Webb is not just a work of art made of light, but also an affirmation of our place among the great ocean of stars. We are tiny beings on a blue planet, filled with nitrogen and oxygen. Yet, we have the ability to create eyes that can see to the very edge of time and space. The Milky Way continues its silent spin, holding billions of secrets in its nebulae of silicon and iron dust. But now, the darkness is no longer so frightening. With new frontiers being explored, with each passing night, we understand a little more about the nature of hydrogen, the magic of water, and the potential existence of our distant friends. Breathe deeply and evenly, feeling the rhythm of life on Earth. While you are preparing to fall asleep, the space telescopes are still working diligently. They are scanning the stars, analyzing faint rays of light, and perhaps, at this very moment, some data is being downloaded, carrying with it the first evidence of another world with life. The silence of the universe is like a great stage curtain, and we are slowly pulling that curtain back. There is no need to rush, no need to worry. Science is leading us step by step. Tomorrow, we will ponder together whether distance and time are insurmountable barriers that will keep us from ever meeting. But for tonight, just let the brilliant images from our modern telescopes soothe your soul. The universe is still vast and silent, but it is no longer empty. It is filled with potential, with hope, and with invitations to explore. You are part of that great journey, a witness to the most brilliant era of human astronomy. Let yourself drift along the flow of knowledge, as gently and peacefully as infrared light traveling between the stars. The night has grown late, and the space around you is now likely filled with absolute tranquility. Relax your body, feel your breath, and let your mind gently float into the infinite void. Tonight, we will contemplate together the two greatest, most formidable barriers the universe has set for anyone seeking connection: time and space. Perhaps the reason we haven't heard a reply is not because there is no one out there, but because the universe is so vast and ancient that we and they are like two ships passing in the night, separated not only by course, but also by time. Let's begin with the barrier called space. When we look up at the twinkling lights, like Sirius or Polaris, we often feel they are right there, so close. But in reality, the distance between stars is terrifying to the human mind. Imagine you are on the fastest spacecraft humanity has ever built. To reach the closest star to our Sun, Proxima Centauri, which is about 4.2 light-years away, it would take you tens of thousands of years. A light-year is the distance light travels in 1 year, equivalent to about 9.46 trillion kilometers. Thus, our nearest neighbor is more than 40 trillion kilometers away. If we were to send a greeting by radio wave there right now, the message would take more than 4 years to arrive. And if they replied immediately, we would have to wait another 4 years to receive it. That's a total of nearly 9 years for a brief hello. And that's just the nearest star. Our Milky Way galaxy is 100,000 light-years across. A message sent from one end of the galaxy to the other would take 100,000 years, a period longer than the entire history of modern humanity. That's why, when we gaze into space, we're actually looking into the past. The light from the moon takes about 1.3 seconds to reach Earth. The light from the sun takes 8 minutes, and the light from distant stars may have traveled for thousands, even millions of years. When you see a star explode in the Andromeda galaxy, 2 million light-years away, that event actually happened long before our earliest human ancestors even appeared. The universe might be silent because the signals we're waiting for are still on their way, or perhaps they passed by Earth millions of years ago, long before we knew how to build a radio. Next, let's reflect on the second barrier: time. Our universe is 13.8 billion years old. To make this easier to picture, imagine the entire history of the universe compressed into a single calendar year. On this cosmic calendar, the Milky Way forms around February. The Earth appears in September, and life begins to sprout not long after. And yet, the entire history of humankind, from discovering fire and building the pyramids to launching the James Webb Telescope, fits into just the final few seconds of December 31st. This temporal gap creates a profound dilemma. Civilizations might simply miss each other. An intelligent civilization might have flourished on a planet around Vega 5 billion years ago. They built cities of iron and gold, mastered the energy of hydrogen and helium, and then faded away for reasons we discussed in a previous chapter. By the time Earth formed, that civilization might have been nothing more than a thin layer of silicon dust on a desolate world. Conversely, another civilization might only arise millions of years after humanity has vanished. We are like travelers in a vast desert, sometimes finding the cold embers of a long-dead campfire or seeing the smoke of another fire on the distant horizon, never able to meet. Scientists often refer to the variable L, the lifespan of a civilization. If a civilization only lasts for about 10,000 years before destroying itself or evolving into another form, the probability of two such 10,000-year civilizations existing at the same time within 13.8 billion years is incredibly low. It's like trying to get two grains of sand to collide by throwing them in the middle of a giant stadium in the dark. The alignment of timing is an exceedingly strict demand of destiny. On top of that, we also need to consider the expansion of the universe. The space between galaxies is constantly expanding, pushing them away from each other at an ever-increasing speed. This means that over time, our neighbors in other galaxies will become more and more distant. Their signals will be stretched and grow weaker until they disappear completely into the cosmic background noise. We are living in a window of time where observing the universe is still possible. In the distant future, when the galaxies have receded beyond our sight, any beings on Earth, if they still exist, will look up at the sky and see only an empty blackness with no stars beyond their own Milky Way. However, the silence brought by distance and time isn't necessarily a sad thing. It reminds us of the value of this present moment. The very fact that we exist right now, with oxygen to breathe, water to drink, and the intelligence to ponder the stars, is a miracle that defies all mathematical probability. The silence of the universe tonight might simply be because our friends are too far away, or perhaps they exist in another era. But it is this very distance that has protected us, giving us a quiet space to grow on our own, without external influence. As you take a deep breath and feel the gentleness of the night, remember that every carbon atom in your body was once in the core of a star that exploded billions of years ago. We carry within us the blood of time and the breath of space. The silence of the stars isn't a refusal to communicate, but a natural characteristic of a vast universe. It teaches us humility and patience. Even though ships like Voyager have traveled billions of kilometers from Earth, carrying humanity's greetings to the universe, they are still just tiny specks of dust beginning their journey. Perhaps in 1,000 years, or 10,000 years, a message from the past will reach our ears, carrying the voice of a world that no longer exists. Or maybe, we will be the ones to leave a mark for species millions of years from now. Tonight, let the vastness of space and the length of time soothe you to sleep. You don't need to hurry anywhere. You are right where you need to be, at the very moment the universe has chosen. Every star above, even those trillions of kilometers away, is silently sending its light to watch over your dreams. Just let your mind drift on the currents of time, gentle and serene, like a small boat on a vast, starry ocean. Tomorrow, we will explore another perspective on life, to see if we are being too narrow-minded by only searching for beings like ourselves. But for now, just enjoy this wonderful stillness. The silence of the universe is the most soothing lullaby for souls that yearn for knowledge. The night has grown late, and the space around you is now filled with only the gentle breath of darkness. As we've journeyed through these 13 chapters, one question has quietly lingered in our minds. Are we being too narrow in our definition of life? Is the universe silent because we are trying to find a reflection of ourselves among the stars, and in doing so, overlooking forms of existence so wondrous and strange that our imagination has yet to grasp them? Tonight, I invite you to open your mind, to join me in redefining the very meaning of life in a universe so vast and full of unimaginable possibilities. Until now, when we think of aliens, we often picture beings with eyes, with hands, who breathe oxygen and need water to survive. We call this carbon chauvinism. This is because all life on Earth is built on the foundation of the carbon atom and the solvent of water. However, carbon is just one of many elements in the universe. Imagine a distant world where the temperature is so cold that water freezes harder than iron rock, yet there are vast oceans filled with liquid methane and ammonia. Let's look at Saturn's moon, Titan. It is a strange world with a thick nitrogen atmosphere and rains of liquid methane. In a place like that, life might not need oxygen. The creatures there might inhale hydrogen gas and exhale methane, drawing energy from chemical reactions that we would consider toxic. To us, Titan is a deadly place, but to them, Earth might seem like a scorching furnace filled with a terrifying, corrosive gas called oxygen. If such life exists, our radio telescopes might never recognize their signals, because we and they exist in two completely different chemical realities. Besides carbon, scientists have also dreamed of life based on silicon. In the periodic table of elements, silicon is right below carbon and shares quite similar chemical properties. Try to imagine beings structured like crystals or living rocks, growing slowly over thousands of years and communicating through faint electromagnetic vibrations. A silicon civilization might not build houses or broadcast songs. They might be part of the planet's geology itself. They are silent in the way of boulders, and we, with our brief lifespans of just a few decades, are perhaps too hurried to ever hear their voice. And then, we must also consider civilizations that have transcended the limits of flesh and biology. In previous chapters, we spoke about the advancement of technology. An advanced civilization might have abandoned their fragile bodies of water and nitrogen to upload their entire consciousness into transcendent computer systems or forms of pure energy. These digital entities wouldn't need to eat or breathe or even need a planet with a lush, green atmosphere. They could live within the core of a star or drift through the cold emptiness of nebulae. To them, sending slow radio waves would likely be an obsolete act. They might be communicating through quantum entanglement or via an 11th dimension that we don't even have the words to describe. And you know, it's possible that life doesn't necessarily need to have a physical form. There is an astonishing hypothesis that our entire universe is one giant living entity. Those brilliant galaxies could act as neurons, and the filaments of hydrogen gas, millions of light years long, could be the pathways connecting information. On such a grand scale, humanity would be like a tiny bacterium living on a speck of dust called Earth. We are trying to find a friend to talk to, but perhaps we are living inside a mind so vast that we can never perceive the whole picture. The silence of the universe tonight might be because we're listening on the wrong frequencies, looking in the wrong directions, and holding on to definitions of existence that are far too narrow. Take a deep breath and feel the miracle of your own body, a collection of water, carbon, and dreams. But remember, out there, in the darkness of the Milky Way, there may be life forms that exist by absorbing the light of dead stars, or creatures made of magnetic fields and silicon dust. Expanding our definition of life doesn't make us smaller. It makes the universe richer and more vibrant than ever before. We are not alone in an empty desert. Perhaps we are standing in the middle of a forest, filled with strange and wondrous flora that the naked eye cannot see. The quiet of the night is an invitation to let go of our preconceptions, to feel the presence of things that are different. As you drift into sleep, let your mind wander freely through the methane worlds of the moon Titan, or the crystal cities of silicon planets. Think of intelligences that exist as shimmering ribbons of energy between the stars. The universe isn't silent. It's just waiting for us to have enough wisdom and acceptance to recognize life forms other than our own. Life is a miracle, and that miracle doesn't have to take a human form. Every speck of dust, every ray of infrared light, every vibration in space could hold a piece of the answer. We are a part of that great flow, a single note in the symphony of existence. Tonight, let the vastness of new possibilities soothe your soul. You don't need to find a neighbor exactly like you to feel less alone. Just knowing that this universe is full of mysteries and wondrous forms of existence is enough to make us feel warm and secure. The Milky Way continues its silent turn, carrying with it billions of secrets about life, waiting to be discovered. Tomorrow, we will reach the final chapter of this journey, to look back together on the meaning of the silence and find hope in humanity's great solitude. But for now, just let your imagination guide you to distant realms of reality, where life is sprouting in ways we have never even dreamed of. Hello, my dear companion of knowledge before sleep. And so, we have traveled a long journey together, crossing billions of light years, passing through brilliant galaxies, and diving deep into the most mind-bending theories about the silence of the universe. Tonight, in this final chapter, I invite you to settle your mind with me. We won't be searching for more numbers or new technologies. Instead, we will contemplate the true meaning of that silence and humanity's mission in this vast ocean of stars. Throughout the past 14 chapters, we have asked ourselves why, at 13.8 billion years old and with hundreds of billions of stars, the universe has never spoken. We've spoken of the harsh great filters, the suspicious dark forest, the sleeping giants awaiting an era of negative 270 degrees Celsius, and even the possibility that we are merely a sophisticated simulation. Each theory holds within it a piece of truth, a piece of fear, and a piece of hope. But no matter what the final answer may be, the silence of the universe is never meaningless. It is a giant mirror reflecting our own human essence. If, one day, science proves that we are truly alone in this Milky Way, it wouldn't be sad news. On the contrary, it would be an affirmation of the absolute and unique value of life on Earth. Just think, if among billions of barren planets full of silicon dust and iron, there is only one blue jewel named Earth, with an atmosphere full of oxygen and nitrogen, with cool, flowing liquid water, and with creatures who know how to love and to ponder, then every breath you take, every beat of your heart, is a priceless miracle. We are not just specks of dust in the void. We are the eyes and ears of the universe. Through us, the universe begins to see its own beauty and to question its own origins. The silence of the stars teaches us a lesson in appreciation. When we realize that intelligent life is a rare result of millions of coincidences, we see that protecting this planet becomes more important than ever. Every molecule of carbon dioxide we release, every living forest that is laid to waste, is a wound upon the only body in this region of space capable of sustaining life. Humanity's journey ahead is not just about reaching for the stars, but first and foremost about learning to live peacefully and sustainably on this very land. if we cannot pass through the great filter of our own selfishness and conflict, we will forever be nothing more than a brief sigh in the grand history of the galaxy. But if there truly are neighbors out there, hiding or observing us from a cosmic zoo, then their silence is a message of patient encouragement. They are giving us time to mature on our own. They are waiting for the day we no longer use the energy of hydrogen and the atom to build weapons, but instead use it to light the way for great ships of exploration. They await the day we learn to understand and embrace one another, regardless of differences in language or skin color. The moment we receive the first signal from a distant civilization will be the day humanity officially enters a new era, the era of the galactic citizen. Whatever the future holds, our journey will continue. Telescopes like the James Webb will continue to diligently scan the nebulae, searching for traces of methane and water on distant rocky planets. Spacecraft like Voyager will continue their endless journey into interstellar space, carrying the music and greetings of humankind. We are a small species, but we carry within us a great aspiration. We do not accept this silence as our destiny, but see it as an invitation to explore deeper, farther, and with more sincerity. Feel the stillness of the night right now. It's no longer cold or frightening, is it? This silence is like the pause between musical notes, which makes the symphony of life deeper and more meaningful. Every twinkling star above is a beacon of hope, reminding us that no matter how arduous the journey, the light of knowledge and love will always guide the way. We are made of stardust, and one day, our dreams will also fly as high and as far as those very stars. Looking back on the past 15 chapters, I hope you have found for yourself moments of peace and beautiful contemplation. We have learned about the calcium in our bones, the iron in our blood, and the carbon in every cell, all originating from the cores of stars that exploded billions of years ago. We are truly children of the cosmos, and as its children, we have the right to be proud of our shared home, the right to be curious about our siblings who might be out there somewhere, and the right to dream of a brilliant future in this ocean of stars. Now, let all thoughts and all knowledge dissolve into the gentlest state of being. You have completed a great journey of discovery within your mind. The vast universe out there continues its silent operation, following its own perfect laws. The Earth continues to turn steadily, carrying the sleep of billions on the wings of the night. The atmosphere continues to envelop and protect you. You are safe, you are loved, and you are a part of the miracle we call life. The Milky Way remains brilliant, silent, yet full of warmth. Let the mysteries of the Fermi Paradox and the dark forest gently fall away for now. The most important thing right now is the peace within your soul. Cherish each breath, each quiet moment, and let them recharge your energy for the new journeys of tomorrow. Thank you for walking with me through all 15 chapters of this story about the universe. I hope that these whispers about the stars have brought you not only knowledge, but also a feeling of absolute serenity as you drift into sleep. Sleep well, my friend. May you find yourself in your dreams gliding among magical nebulae, reaching out to touch the twinkling stars and feeling the infinite love the universe has for you. Sleep deeply, sleep peacefully, and awaken tomorrow with a heart full of inspiration. And so, our vessel of the mind, after crossing through brilliant clouds of hydrogen dust and distant star systems, has gently returned to the peaceful harbor of tonight. We search together for an answer to the silence of the stars, only to realize that no matter how vast the universe may be, your presence, right here and now, is the greatest miracle of all. The silence of the Milky Way is not one of cold indifference. It is like a necessary pause in a long piece of music, allowing us to better appreciate the sound of our own breath and to love more deeply the blue jewel, Earth, that envelops us in its soft blanket of oxygen and nitrogen. We are children of the stars, carrying in our blood the iron, calcium, and carbon forged in the cores of ancient suns. Whether we are alone or being watched, we are still living a life full of meaning and brilliance. Giờ đây, khi những trang sách về vũ trụ đã khép lại, tôi mời bạn hãy để mọi suy tư trôi xa dần. Hãy cảm nhận sức nặng nhẹ nhàng của cơ thể trên chiếc giường êm ái, mọi câu hỏi về nghịch lý Fermi, về bộ lọc vĩ đại hay khu rừng tối giờ đây chỉ còn là những làn gió nhẹ vỗ về giấc ngủ của bạn. Vũ trụ vẫn ở đó, tĩnh lặng và bao dung, canh giữ cho thế giới của chúng ta trong suốt 13,8 tỷ năm qua. Và đêm nay cũng không ngoại lệ. You don't have to go far to find wonder. The wonder is right here in your own steady breath, in the serenity of your soul at this moment. Rest easy, for you are enveloped in the boundless love of creation. The night is deep now, and the lights outside have long since faded. I want to offer my sincere thanks for allowing my voice to accompany you on this journey among the stars. Now, gently close your eyes. May you have a sleep that is deep, peaceful, and dreamless. I hope that in your dreams, you will see yourself floating among wondrous nebulae, gliding past the magnificent rings of Saturn, and feeling the absolute tranquility of space. Sleep well, my friend. Tomorrow, when the sun rises, you will awaken with a heart full of energy and a love for life. For now, let the universe continue to tell its story in your dreams. Sleep well.